So let me give you kind of a wider view of what's happened here, just in the last decade. You know, a lot of what's happened in this business is small and mid-sized companies, like a lot of you, saw these market leaders starting to take off and thought, these guys must be doing something right. I better hurry up and do what those guys are doing if I want to stay in business and if I want to continue to grow. Did any of you, looking at this timeline, did any of you copy any of these tactics? Like jumping into third-party ownership. I jumped into third-party ownership, I'll admit it. I went there. I thought that was going to be the future of the business, and I was really scared. I mean, I was selling cash deals up until 2007. When the housing market crashed in 2008, all of us at Alteris were like, oh, if we want to stay in business as a $60 million a year solar company, we need another financial services option, and we need it now. And so we brought Sunrun to Massachusetts. And so the story of solar changed. In 2009, this is when content marketing really started to hit the ground running. This was when One Block Off the Grid started. How many of you remember One Block Off the Grid? Okay. So they really pioneered the use of both content marketing, like blogging and things like that, alongside with this little solar calculator that was at the end of like everybody's blog everywhere. Did any of you see that? Yeah. That's why Pure bought them, because they made that customer acquisition strategy very effective. So then everybody tried to do that. Oh, all we need to do is add a solar calculator to our website, and then we'll have tons of leads. We'll have leads coming out our ears. Great. 2010, Sungevity comes out with their remote solar assessment. Okay, this was probably the most interesting process innovation. Notice I said process, not technology. Process innovation that's happened in the solar industry. Instead of you get a phone call and then you go to the customer's site to get on the roof with your Sun-Eye or your Pathfinder if you were still using it, you looked at satellite imagery to try to weed out the customer ahead of time. How many of you use some kind of technique like this now? Okay, this was a process innovation. So of all the things that I think these big national scale market leaders did, this was actually a pretty decent one. This was like founded in some good things. But then what happened after that? Well, I joined Sungevity in 2011, and the company tried to grow very, 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 very fast, and with a lot of venture money, and forgot that they worked in construction. 2012, Vivint came on the scene. What did they do? Canvassing. Suddenly, out of nowhere, they were what? The #3 market share installer in the nation. What do you think everyone did 1 quarter after that? They started canvassing programs. Did they know how to canvass effectively? No, they had no clue. They're just like, get people out there and canvass, my son. Craziness. People spent so much money, so much wasted time and effort trying to canvass, thinking, well, Vivint did it, and they became a market leader, so I just need to do canvassing, right? Insane. Picking any one of these strategies and just throwing it on the table, okay, that's just using a tactic. That's using a tool. You can have all the best tools in the world, but if you don't know how to use them, if you don't know how to deploy them correctly, then it doesn't matter. 2013, the rise of robo-calling. Oh my goodness. Southern California hates the solar industry because of this. How many of you work in Southern California? Okay, raise your hand if you know exactly what I'm talking about. Thank you. Yeah, this was, okay, super effective, right? It got the word out to people. It was interruption marketing, got right out there, okay? A lot of people now hate the solar industry in Southern California. The market there has been flat for a while. And people are hurting because customers are just tired. People are tired of hearing about solar. They don't want to answer their phones. They're tired. They got people canvassing them all day long. I got a buddy who lives in San Diego. He collects all of his direct mail from all the solar companies in the area, even though he's got PV on his house and has for a year. Every time I go visit him every 3 months, and he's like, hey, Pam, check it out. Boop, throws me a stack of direct mail, like 12 letters high. Every 3 months. It's crazy. And then, of course, 2015, this is when third-party lead gen really started to hit its knee. How many of you, if you're willing to admit it, buy leads from a third-party vendor? Okay, couple. A lot of the big guys started outsourcing their lead programs because they were having a tough time feeding the beast to keep going at 500, 600, 700 plus installations a month. If you have a 20% close rate and you need 700 a month, let's do the math backwards. That's a lot of leads. It's a lot of leads. So this whole industry came up around this. Do you have any idea what those guys are doing to get those leads, or how many people they're selling them to besides you? This is scary stuff. And it's hurting customers. And it's hurting consumer confidence in the solar industry. So there's not really a lot more that I want to say. Since we're a little short on time, and I'd really love to open the floor up to questions, I'm going to cede some of my time. And I'm just going to put up this quote. This was from a recent news article. And basically, the last sentence of this is, basically the fallout from a lot of the national scale companies leaving areas and leaving these long-term service contracts behind. They're all gone, and we're left servicing their contracts. So I want to turn this around to all of you, because, I've just talked about some really scary stuff, but this is an opportunity for you. And many of the solar contractors that I know all over this country have done an amazing job. The really good ones have done an amazing job picking up the pieces when solar companies who grew too fast, who didn't have a good strategy, who weren't paying attention well enough to their numbers, when they go away, the patient guys like Pete, like Gary, like Barry, they go and they take care of those customers, and they fix the system. And you know what that customer then does? That customer then refers that company to other people, even though they didn't install the system originally. This is what we're going to have to do as an industry as things realign. We're going to have to pick up the pieces. But I believe that we are all brave enough to do that work because we care enough. That's why we're here. So I'll give the mic back to Barry, and we can move on to questions. Thank you.